So this video is to show you two different submissions when you're taking somebody down on the ground in Jiu-jitsu. Either you're a beginner at Jiu-jitsu or you just want to know how to choke somebody on the ground. I'm going to show you two different submissions, and lastly I'm going to show you how to connect both. So if the first submission doesn't work, how to change to the second submission instantly. The first submission is called the Americana, and it's a shoulder lock that twists the arm inward to force the shoulder joint to break. So first step is to take my opponent's wrist. I want to control it and take it with my hand underneath his head. So I grab his wrist with a strong grip. Second step is to grab my own wrist with my free arm, and I want to pass my free arm underneath his elbow. So I kind of shovel his elbow with my free arm, and then I go grab a good grip with my own wrist. Then I do like a rainbow. I put my arm over his head, I bring his elbow close to my chest, and then I want to keep the wrist on the ground and elevate the elbow so I get the tap. So let's see the submission from another angle here. I have my arm underneath his head. I grab his own wrist. I take my own wrist, shoveling my free arm underneath his elbow. I do the rainbow. I pass my arm over his head, just like so. I bring his elbow close to my chest. Then I elevate to get the tap. The key detail to get the submission more easily is to really not be scared of putting your opponent's arm close to your chest so that the pressure is more intense. The second submission is the arm triangle, and it's a choke that uses the opponent's arm and his shoulder to shut off the blood in their brain. So this choke is a bit more complicated, but is really simple when you know the logic behind it. Let's just see here how I do it. That's how the choke looks. I want to put my arm under his head, and I want to trap his whole shoulder with my other arm. The next step is I want to get my ear as close as possible to his ear. So I want to connect our heads, and I want to push his head deeply in my elbow. You see here, I elevate my butt, then I put all of my pressure on the ground to choke him. So I put his head as deep as possible in my elbow. I trap his shoulder. I connect my ear to his ear. I elevate my butt, and then I put all of my pressure on the ground. I just fall on him, basically, to get the tap and choke him. So we see it again from another angle. I trap his arm, I elevate, and then I choke him. The key detail on getting the choke is really elevating your hips and then falling on the ground and putting your whole weight. A really important aspect of this choke is that you really want to leave as tiny space as possible because it is a blood flow choke. So your bicep presses one side of the neck, your shoulder presses the other side, and you want to connect your hands in what we call a gable grip. So it's essentially a palm to palm grip. So I'm showing you here the way I put my hand on the top of my bottom hand is because it's extending my bicep and it leaves less space so that I get the choke easily. Lastly, I want to show you how the first submission helps the other one. So we are going to be in a situation where I try the Americana, my opponent turns away to protect his shoulder from getting completely broken, and that will leave me a window to shoot my arm underneath his head and go into the second choke, which is the arm triangle. So you see here, I'm trying an Americana, and my partner here tries to defend it by turning. That gives me a big space to shoot my arm, push his head deeply into my elbow, connect my ear to his ear by trapping his shoulder, then grabbing a gable grip like I showed you, and getting the second choke, which is the arm triangle. So him trying to turn away and defend you from doing the Americana leaves you a space to shoot the arm triangle, elevate your hips, then choke him out.